Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Yates and Miss Garcia, along with the melodious sounds of my 3D printer in the background. Today, we're going to be going over the answers to the Spiral Math for Wednesday, April 29th. And we'll go ahead and start right now. I'll be doing the odds today, and Miss Garcia will be doing the evens. Let's go ahead and get started. I'll have my paper here with answer and work ready to go. And I'm going to read the first one. It says, a recipe for apricot stuffing calls for 1 1/2 pounds of apricots. If Gracie increases the recipe 2.5 times, how many pounds of apricots will she need? When I read this, it looks like my answer sentence is going to be based right here about how many pounds of apricots she will need. So I'll go and put it here. She will need blank pounds. Oh, I should have made an S there, so I have a copier of apricots. Now, when I look at this, boys and girls, this is where I get a little, the number monkey can be involved in this one sometimes. When I see that 1 1/2 pounds of apricots right here, when I see that 1 1/2 pounds of apricots, and then I look over here and I see 2.5, I tend to want to think, well, I need to add those. But that's not what we do here, boys and girls. What we're going to be doing is the key word here is 2.5 times. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking 1 1/2, and I'll be multiplying it 2 1/2 times. Now, in order to do that, I have two mixed numbers I'm going to be multiplying. I need to turn them both into improper fractions. 1 1/2 becomes 3/3, or 3/2. 2 1/2 becomes 5/2, or 5/2. I don't have to worry about the denominator being the same, but in this case they are, but it's no big deal if they aren't. I take 3 times 5 and get 15. 2 times 2 equals 4. Now what I notice here, boys and girls, is I have an improper fraction. Now I have 15/4. So what I'll do is I'll simplify that down to 3 3/4. I can't simplify 3/4 down any further, so now I know that my the number of pounds that she will need will be 3 3/4 pounds of apricots. And that is the answer for number 1. I'm going to move on down now to number 2.
Number 2 says the dinosaur Diplodocus.
Diplodocus.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one before.
Pro tip, do you know the artist Diplo?
Yeah.
He named himself after this dinosaur because he was his favorite. Just a random fact.
Are you serious? Oh
yeah.
My goodness. That's so funny. That's really crazy. Do you know the artist Drake, like the rapper?
Yes.
Did you know that his actual legal real name is Aubrey? Right? And it's spelled E-Y.
Oh, wow.
Your girl
connections, boys and girls, connections.
Okay, back on track. The dinosaur Diplodocus was as long as 27 meters. What is the length in centimeters? So for your guys' answer sentence, you can say the dinosaur Diplodocus. So difficult to say for some reason.
Or you could just say the dinosaur's length.
Yeah, that's easier actually. I'd go with that.
Okay.
The dinosaur's length is, and then blank, centimeters.
All right.
All right, so this is where we are going to be using our King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. So you want to make sure that, just like Mr. Yates is doing, you write down your 27 meters equals blank centimeters, and then write out your King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. And remember, our U is going to be where our meters is, because that's our unit measurement. So that's going to be our meters. And then our C is going to be where our centimeters are. And so we want to move we want to see how many jumps it is to our C, because that's how many spots we are going to be moving our decimal point. So when we jump from our U to our C, it's going to be 1 jump.
Go ahead and move that in, Ms. Garcia, with some, I'm just having a moment here with my annotations. Oh, there we go.
You're good. That's why I was like, wow. I was like trying to like slow down my one. Okay, so there's 1 jump and then there's 2 jumps. So our decimal on our 27 is going to be on the right side of our 7. And so we are going, when we move our decimal 2 places to the right.
Ms. Garcia, my software just got a little jiggy, so I want to make sure I do it really nice and accurate. So 1, it's just a little off, so I want to make sure I'm going 1 and then 2. There we go. It was a little jiggy there, so I want to make sure I did it exactly right.
Perfect. It looks great. It looks like a solid M. So that means that we're going to be moving our decimal 2 place values to the right. So our original decimal on our 27 is on the right-hand side of our 7. So when we move that decimal over 2 place values, you should end with 2,700.
And I'll just add some zeros here to make it easier before I move my decimal, so that way I have it ready. All right, good.
So your answer should be the dinosaur's length is 2,700 centimeters.
All right, great. Taking a look at number 3, Maxine bought 3 packages of hamburger. The packages weighed 3 14/100 pounds, 4 48/100 pounds, and 5 8/10 pounds. About, ooh, there's that word, about. How many pounds of hamburger did Maxine buy? Round each package weight to the nearest whole number. Well, they're really giving you lots of hints here. About and round are 2 clear ideas about what we need to do here for our answer. We need to take the package weights that are here at 3 3/4, 3 14/100, these ones, 4 48/100, and 5 8/10, and we're going to round them to the nearest whole number. The 3 packages, we don't have to worry about that number. It's not important. It's these packages weights that we have to add up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put here that she bought, and I'll put in the word about, just to remind myself that this is going to be rounded estimate answer. She bought about blank pounds of hamburger. Then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll put in here, I'll say that 3 14/100 is pretty close to 3. 4 48/100, I'm going to look at the digit here, or actually I'm going to look at the ones place and then look at the tenths. I'm going to leave it alone, so it'll be 4. And 5 8/10, I'm going to look at the 8/10, and that's going to make me move up this to 6. So now I'm going to add these 3 whole numbers together. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 6 is 13. So she bought about 13 pounds of hamburger. All right, great. Let's go on down to number 4.
Okay, number 4 says solve. So you guys, for your answer sentence, can write that number sentence, because we're going to be doing 2 2/3 minus 1 1/4. So, or you guys can say the difference is. That one works as well. So our very first step when subtracting our fractions is going to be to line everything up and write it vertically. Just like Mr. Yates is doing. He has his whole numbers perfectly lined up and he has his fractions lined up. So first thing we want, or second thing I should say, we want to do is make sure that we have the same denominator. But I'm looking at it and one of them is 3 and the other is 4. So we have a bit of an issue. So we want to go ahead and turn those into, to where they have the same denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and use the number 12 because I multiplied 3 times 4 and it gives me 12. So I'm going to make the new denominator on each one that 12. And is how we do that is we multiply both the numerator and the denominator on each fraction. So on the top fraction, or on the bottom fraction, we're going to go ahead and multiply by 3. And on the top fraction, we're going to multiply them by 4. So then your 3 times 4 gives you your 12. And your 3 times 1 gives you 3. And then 3 times 4 gives you 12 on that top fraction. And then your 2 times 4 gives you 8. So you should have 8 12ths minus 3 12ths. So then, remember, we don't subtract our denominators. We can leave those. To where then you do your 8 minus 3, which should give you 5 over 12. And boys and girls, we want to make sure before we move on to our next step that that is in simplest form. And I'm pretty sure that that's in simplest form. It cannot be simplified anymore.
Nope.
So then we subtract our whole numbers, and 2 minus 1 gives you 1. So your guys' answer should be 1 and 5 12ths. Woo.
All right, great. I'll flip over the paper here. We'll go working on number 5. Boys and girls, I'm really proud of you that are numbering your work, because then it's so much easier to check it. If you just write everything down randomly, it's really hard later on to find out which work was for which problem. So good job for labeling your problems and making sure that it's nice and neat. Now, this one we're going to be doing some straight up multiplication. And yes, I know that at home you can do this on a calculator, but the challenge here, boys and girls, is to keep your multiplication skills sharp, because most of the time when you're being asked and tested on multiplication, especially at elementary school level, you are needing to actually do it by hand. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take 736, I'm going to multiply it out by 23. And we'll go ahead and start. 6 times 3 is 18. I carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. Carry another 1. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 1 is 22. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 0 in the 1's place for the next product line. Then I'm going to start multiplying again. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry another 1 again. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. I don't need to carry anything now. 7 times 2 is 14. Making sure everything is nicely lined up. I add these two together. Excuse me. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 7 is 9. 2 plus 4 is 6. And we have 1. Putting a comma between the 6 and the 9 makes 16,928. So the product of 736 multiplied by 23 is 16,928. All right, make sure, boys and girls, if you did make any calculation errors, you label it and you also fix them. We're going to move on down to number 6.
All right, so it says find the volume of the prism. Round the volume to the nearest tenth if necessary. So it looks like we are going to be writing for our answer sentence, the volume of the prism is and then you're going to go ahead and want to write your blank. And then it looks like it's in meters. And remember, when we are finding volume, it's always going to be cubed. So make sure you put that little 3 next to your M, just like Mr. Yates did right there. So our formula when we're solving for volume is going to be length times width times height. So make sure you guys write V equals length times width times height. And let's go ahead and write down our numbers. So our length is going to be from side to side, which is going to be our 6.8, 6 8/10. And then our width is going to be front to back. So that is going to be our 2.9 right there. So go ahead and write that down underneath your W. And for our height, it is going to be our 17.1 because it is top to bottom, or how tall it is. So then we are going to go ahead and multiply these out. So you might want to start with your 6.8 times your 2.9 and make sure you guys are lining everything up.
And boys and girls, on this one, you aren't going to be rounding until the very end. It says round to the nearest volume to the nearest tenth if necessary. I know last year sometimes kids would round these numbers first, but we're not going to round those first. We're going to wait until we're done, and then we're going to round our volume answer. Okay, sorry to interrupt, Ms. Garcia.
No, you're totally fine. So you get 9 times 8 gives you your 72. 9 times 6 is your 54. Plus 7 is going to be your 61. Yes, okay. I want to make sure I did that right. So 2 times 8 gives you 16. And 2 times 12, make sure you carry that 1 too. And then your 2 times your 6 gives you 12, plus your 1 that you carried gives you 13. So now we're going to go ahead and add everything together. So 2 plus 0 gives you 2, 6 plus 1 gives you 7, 6 plus 3 is 9, and then your 1. So we have currently, then you want to make sure that you calculate how many places you're going to have to move your decimal. And so we have 2. So then you're going to want to start from the very back of your number on the very right hand side of your 2. Move it in to the left 2 times. So we have 19 and 72 hundredths, but we're not quite done. We still have to multiply that, our 19 and 72 hundredths, by our 17.1.
Oh boy. Are we ready? Buckle up, boys and girls.
We're in for the long haul, guys. All right, ready? And here we go. 1 times 2 gives you 2. 1 times 7 gives you 7. 1 times 9 is 9. And 1 times 1 gives you your 1. Then don't forget to annex your 0 for a place value. So then 7 times 2 gives you 14. Make sure to carry your guys' 1. 7 times 7 is 49, plus 1 gives you 50. Make sure to carry your 5. 7 times 9 gives you your 63, plus your 5 is going to be 68. Carry your 6. 7 times 1 gives you 7, plus 6 gives you 13. And go ahead and write out your full 13, just like so. Then you're going to want to annex 2 zeros to hold place values. All right, last one, here we go. 1 times 2 gives you 2. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. Make sure that you guys are lining everything up, and let's go ahead and add it all together. 2 plus 2 zeros is 2. 7 plus 4 is going to be 11. 10 plus 2 gives you 12. Carry your 1. And then, so 8 plus 2 is going to be 10. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay. 9. Yeah, you're quicker than I am. 3 plus.
Did I do that one wrong, Ms. Garcia?
No, I think you're good. I think I was just.
8 plus 7 is 15. Oh, I think I did a quick calculation error. Good job for catching that. Because 9 plus 2, so this is 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 7 is 17.
Yes.
You noticed something was amiss.
I know, I was like, wait.
I went too fast. Okay.
All right. So, okay, so we have our 7. Make sure to carry the 1. 9 plus 4 is going to be 15.
13.
No, 13. Thank you. Carry the 1. Carry the 1, and that should give you another 3.
The biggest normal issue, and you kind of see this with us boys and girls, is calculation error. It can happen all the time. So just take your time and take your time. That's the biggest thing. Okay. Sorry, Ms. Garcia.
Nope, you're totally fine. All right, so now we want to count how many place values we're going to have to move our decimal. And so we're going to have 2 from our 19 and 72 hundredths and 1 from our 17.1. So we want to go ahead and move that decimal place 3 times to the left. So 1, 2, and 3. But boys and girls, that is not our final answer because the question wants us to round the volume to the nearest tenth if necessary. So the nearest tenth is going to be 337.2 because our 1 doesn't make us round up. So it just stays the value that it is, which means 337 and 2/10. So your guys' answer sentence should read something similar to the volume of the prism. So make sure you guys have volume as well as of the prism, as well as 337 and 2/10. And make sure you guys have that meters cubed.
All right, great. Lots of multiplying on that one. On number 7, boys and girls, we're just going to be subtracting this time in a deceptively simple subtraction. 4 minus 1 and 6/17. Let me go down and move down here to look at this one. I'm just going to move this over on the side here so I have some space. Now, when I go vertically, I line up my whole numbers. 4. I'm going to circle my expression so I remember that I'm subtracting and not adding. And then I have subtracting 1. I'm going to put my fraction by my 1 and 6 like this, 6/17 right next to the 1. But I don't have a fraction here. Miss Doppler has a saying, subtraction action requires 2 fractions. We don't have 2 fractions to subtract from. This guy has nothing to subtract from. We're kind of stuck. What we're going to do is we're going to borrow. We're going to borrow 1 whole from the 4. So I take 1 whole away from 4, that becomes 3. Now when I have 1 whole, and I'll just write it down here to remind you what's going on here. I want to turn that 1 whole, the 1 that I borrowed from the 3 right here, 1 whole, I'm going to turn that into a fraction with a denominator of 17. That's always going to be the same number in the top and the bottom because 1 whole is the same denominator and the same numerator on top, 17/17. That matches 6/17, the denominator, so that's what I want to have here. So now I'm going to turn that 1 into 17/17 and just bring it right over here. That 1 that I borrowed from the 4 is now going to be 17/17. The 3 is now 3 instead of 4. Now I can subtract because subtraction action takes 2 fractions, and now I have 2 fractions. So here I go. I'm going to subtract my 6 from my 17. I'm going to be getting 11. I don't subtract my denominators, so now I have 11/17. 11 is a prime number, and so is 17, so this definitely cannot be simplified. 3 minus 1 is 2. So now when I'm done, my difference is 2 and 11/17. Good job, boys and girls, if you remember to borrow from this fraction. That's something we haven't done in a while. So if you did and remembered it, excellent job. Not just remember to work it through so you know how to do it the next time you see something like this. All right, I'm going to switch over to other paper, Ms. Garcia. Just enough room for number 8 right here. Let me just go ahead and put this one right here. So space. I'm going to put number 8 right here at the very end, and I'll put my answer and my work. And let's go take a look at number 8. Oh, it's
All right. All right. Multiplication is just my jam today, I guess.
It is.
All right. It says multiply. Find the product in simplest form. So we're going to be multiplying 4.5 by 2 3/7. So for this one, we don't have to write them vertically. That's only with addition and subtraction. So, but our first step is going to be because we can't multiply when we have mixed numbers. So we have to turn our mixed numbers into improper fractions. So our 4.5 is going to turn into 9/2 because 2 times 4 gives you your 8. Plus your numerator gives you 9, and your denominator stays the same, so 9/2. And then for our 2 3/7, it is going to turn into 7 times 2, gives you 14. Add your numerator of 3, which is going to give you 17, and our denominator stays the same, so we carry down our 7. So now that we have 2 improper fractions, we can now multiply. So we just multiply across. So 9 times 17 should give you 153, if I calculated everything correctly.
Oh, okay. I was, there we go.
No, you're good. I was just making sure that, okay, that's what you got to. Cool. So then 2 times 7 is going to give you guys 14, because we multiply across as well. But that number can be simplified. It's not in simplest form, because remember, the question says find the product in simplest form.
Yep.
So we're going to go ahead and divide our 153 by our 14. So your 153 is the dividend, so it goes in the den. And then your 14. So let's go ahead and divide. So 14 cannot go into 1, but it can go into 15 one time. Then 1 times 14 is 14. Subtract, you get 1, drop your 3. And so you should end with 1 and, oh, my bad, sorry. So then you go, yes, you have to keep dividing. Sorry, guys. Calculation error in my head. So then 14 can't go into 13, so you have to do 0. And then you have to go ahead and now you are done. So your 10 is going to be your new whole number, and your 13 becomes your new numerator, and your 14 is your denominator. So you should end with 10 and 13/14.
All right, great. Make sure, boys and girls, that you fill out the spiral math survey. Make sure you correct your work, check your answers, and make sure you got 100% on everything. If you didn't, make sure you fix your mistakes. Thank you for checking your spiral math, boys and girls. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.